Hello everybody, I'm Evan Lazar for CLNS Media, coming to you from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, where the Patriots are making their preparations for Saturday night showdown against the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park on Wild Card Weekend. In this video, we're going to break down some key matchups for New England. We also did Keys to Victory, as we do every week on Patriots Press Pass, so you can go ahead and check that video out when you're done watching this one. But we're going to talk about some key matchups for the Patriots, and I don't want to focus on the marquee big names. I actually want to focus on some of the undercard matchups. I think that was a big reason why the Patriots lost that game in Week 16, was not necessarily because of the Stephon Diggses or the Tremaine Edmonds or the Micah Hydes and Jordan Poyers, but more so some of the smaller matchups or lesser known names that were went out there and beat the Patriots depth players, especially offensively in that Patriots secondary. So that's where we're going to start. You know where I'm going with this. It's Isaiah McKenzie against the slot cornerback for the Patriots, Myles Bryant or D'Angelo Ross. I'm really fascinated to see how Bill Belichick and his staff treat the slot position this time around. Clearly, Bryant was outgunned against Isaiah McKenzie last time out. Now, McKenzie only has 3 targets in the Bills' last 2 games after having 11 targets in Week 16 against the Patriots. So he's gone back down to more of a complimentary 3rd or 4th receiver role since the breakout game against New England. Cole Beasley has stepped right back in to that starter role, as has Gabriel Davis. McKenzie is now Buffalo's 4th receiver. But my gut tells me that the Bills and Brian Daboll are going to remember Week 16, and they're going to say, we got to send McKenzie on a few crossers early on in the game and see if the Patriots have adjusted and what they're going to throw at us this time when we run those crossing patterns across the middle of the field against man coverage. So Isaiah McKenzie against Myles Bryant, round 2, or hopefully the Patriots give Bryant some help and maybe they move D'Angelo Ross into the starting lineup to take Bryant's spot in the slot. But the Patriots cannot let Josh Allen's complementary weapons, not Stephon Diggs, J.C. Jackson is going to hold Stephon Diggs to a manageable day in my estimation. I don't think that Diggs is going to pop off for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns like he did last season against the Patriots in that second matchup. Diggs and Jackson's done a decent job on him this year. I think that they'll be able to hold him down and manage Stephon Diggs with J.C. Jackson. The question is, can the rest of the Patriots secondary step up against some of the other depth players in that Bills arsenal? Looking at McKenzie, Davis, Beasley, Knox, the backs out of the backfield. Those were the players that really killed the Patriots last time out in Week 16. So those undercard matchups on the defensive side of the ball, that's key matchups number 1, looking specifically at Isaiah McKenzie against Myles Bryant. Flipping over to the offensive side of the ball, looking at key matchup number 2 here for the Patriots. This one's a tough one. I think that there's a lot of really good matchups in the trenches for the Patriots against the Bills. Ed Oliver, Harrison Phillips, who's played a great role for the Bills recently, basically over the last month or so, has really elevated his game as that one technique in the Bills system. But I want to look at the receivers again against the corners, and I'm taking Jakobi Meyers against Tehran Johnson, the Bills slot or nickel corner. Jakobi Meyers last time out, Johnson really had his number, limited Meyers all over the field using that inside man technique, right? Inside leverage, you cut off the middle of the field, you force Mac Jones and Jakobi Meyers to beat you outside the numbers, and the Patriots had some trouble with that. But the Patriots have some complementary routes that I'm expecting Meyers to run this time around if the strategy for Johnson is once again to take inside leverage and take away the middle of the field from the Patriots receivers. Look for things like burst corner routes where he fakes the crosser and then breaks outside, whipper return routes where he runs that little inside move and then fakes it and then comes to the outside. We've seen the Patriots use some of these types of things in the past, and I would also venture to say that Jakobi Meyers might get flicks out wide and run some of those fade balls that we've seen him have some success with this season, especially last week against Xavier Howard in Miami, catching a 28-yard pass from Mac Jones down the field. So Jakobi Meyers against Tehran Johnson. The Patriots have to get their number 1 receiver going against the Bills' stingy pass defense. And obviously that undercard matchup, Isaiah McKenzie against Myles Bryant and D'Angelo Ross in the slot for the Patriots, is going to be a critical one for New England's defense to correct this time around. So you can check out that Key to the Victory video on Patriots Press Pass. We break down a lot more about the Patriots pass rush and the trenches, the line of scrimmage battle on both sides of the ball for the Bills and the Pats on Saturday night. And then obviously we will be in Orchard Park for Patriots-Bills, so keep it right here on CLNS Media PatriotsDaily.com and on Patriots Press Pass for all your Pats Bills coverage, and we'll see you this weekend, everybody.